Hey, what's up guys, Guardian here, coming to you guys with another video today. So yeah, doing this off the back of the standard deck profile that I did for Ezel. So today we're going to be looking at a premium deck profile. And yeah, so this is all in celebration of the milestones that I mentioned in the other video. But just to quickly recap, it's basically just to say a thank you to everyone for the subscribers that I've got, and also the fact that I've had this YouTube channel for like 5 years now, which is crazy. And this video is going to be coming out on the 25th, which 5 years ago in 2016 was when I made this channel. So yeah, crazy to think that 5 years has passed. And yeah, like I said in the other video, thank you everyone for sticking around and watching my content. I do it when I can and when I want to do it. So I really appreciate the people that watch my videos. But yeah, this is going to be a premium deck. Now, Ezel has seen its fair share in premium, definitely. It's definitely got a reputation, to say the very least. Now, this version of the deck is very... I tried to keep it very basic in terms of like the things you can do in it. But Ezel's pretty simple in terms of what it's trying to do, with its superior riding, and then going into the superior stride with Spear-X very consistently. The only thing with it is that it's very CB reliant sometimes, so if your opponent is smart and doesn't give you the counterblast to work with, then you might have a bit of a rough patch initially, but it is pretty cool, and the superior ride stuff in the deck does make it pretty fast and pretty cool to play overall. And if anything, I'd probably say Ezel's probably my favorite deck in premium to play, just because it does have a lot of avenues it can go down when it comes to finishes and stuff like that. So yeah, we have obviously the new Ezel from the V series here, and I put my my old Ezel sleeves from Limit Break back on I put it on my G zone. So yeah, the old Ezel is still with us in spirit, but we will go ahead and get stuck into the main deck with the brand new Blond Ezel, which is going to be the starting grade 3. And I'll try to go through this as quickly as I can for the cards, since, premium decks tend to take a while anyway. So yeah, Blond Ezel, pretty simple. Playing it for the superior ride. We need to play max copies of it, because obviously we need this in our hand to go along with our Beaumains and our Gareth to get that superior ride off. But yeah, you're going to be playing for this. And also, it's more consistency when it comes to ultimate striding as well with Ultima, which is also something to take into mind. So 4 copies of Blond Ezel, the one and only Blond Ezel. Then we have the form of Ezel with Platina. So of course, I showcased Platina in the standard deck the other day as the star of the deck. But obviously in this deck, it's more or less just another Ezel that you can go into that has a pretty decent skill. So we're essentially just planning to go into this just to get extra markers and dig deeper into the deck. But the cool thing with the Platina is that you can use this with Spear-X, and that you can counterblast for this skill. Now it is an axe skill, so you have to do it during the main phase, but that's fine, because then you can superior stride into your Spear-X dragon, and then you can go into his skill to call stuff out from the deck. And then because the Platina Ezel skill is online, and it doesn't really matter what your Vanguard is, you're going to get the full skill of this with each drive check from the Spear-X. So of course it's triple drive, so you'll essentially be digging 6 cards deep into the deck, and obviously have the chance to filter out any triggers that you come across as well, which is really, really cool. So I usually see a mixture between either this or Raven, but I personally prefer the Platina just because I feel like it's a bit more fun, for my personal preference. And I just like the interaction that it has with Spear-X. So yeah, decided to go for the Platina. And also, it's kind of cool that, like I said, it's like I've upgraded the standard deck into a premium deck, so it's not too far apart from each other, which is pretty nice. So, also similar to the standard deck, we also have our 4 copies of Percival. So, of course, we're going to be playing this because it's just a really good card. Simple as that. Yeah, you're going to get your Excel markers, get a plus with Aglovale, and Aglovale's just a nice consistent way to generate soul. And also, Aglovale kind of helps one thing with golds, is that it gives you extra padding numbers to work with the 24k on an Excel marker. So not only is it soul generation, but it's also just a good attacker, right? So you're going to be pressuring the opponent with it, and it'll also bypass any defensives that they might get when you start going for your multi-attacks. So yeah, so Percival, of course, we're going to be playing that alongside with Ezel, which is pretty cool. Now, for the grade 2s, this is pretty straightforward and simple. We have, of course, our Beaumains, which we're playing 4 of. We want to, superior ride Ezel as consistent as possible, so we're going to be playing this and the Gareth with it so that we can superior ride the Ezel as much as we can. Now, of course, Beaumains, as you all know, is really good just because you can go get the Gareth, and if you've got the Ezel in hand, boom, you're at grade 3, and then next turn you can look at striding. So really, really cool. So that is Beaumains, pretty simple and straightforward. And then next we have arguably one of the better ones, in my opinion, which is Wonder Ezel. Now, Wonder Ezel is basically just the same thing, but you need to have Howell instead of Gareth, but obviously this doesn't search out the Howell. You need to open up with it, with this card. But some cool things with this is that it's actually got the Ezel name. So if you do want to experiment with some other cards in Premium, one card you could try out is the Sacred Twin Beast White Lion, since this needs an Ezel Vanguard in order to work. But it's basically a counterblast when it's placed. And if you have an Ezel Vanguard, you soul charge 1, but then you put a card from the top of your deck into the damage zone face up. And this is really good to combo off with your Howell, since we are running the old school Howell that countercharges us. So that way you can get 2 face up damage, superior ride into your Blond Ezel, and then you can use that 2 CB to then superior stride into the Spear Axe, which is just insane. Now, you're probably wondering, well, hang on a minute, it sounds like you're not playing this, right? Well, I'm not playing it in this build, but you can play it. It's definitely really good. But I wanted to go for more of a streamlined version of the deck, a bit more simple. But this card is definitely good in the right scenario, but the problem with it is that you need to have this, and also the grade 1 Howell. So you need 3 pieces for this to work. But also, the grade 1 space in this deck was just super tight to work with, and it was quite awkward for me to try to put this in. Also, it's very easy to counterplay, because, you can't really do it if your opponent doesn't give you the damage for the counterblast. So, it's cute, and it's really cool if it does go off, but whether or not it does or not, that's up to the opponent. So, like I said, I wanted to go for more of like a basic version of the deck, and then you can sort of like improve it, where you feel like you could like put some tech choices in, and style it to your liking essentially. But yeah, Wonder Ezel, we're playing it for the second superior ride engine for that superior ride consistency. Now, for the rest of the grade 2s, we have of course 2 Aglovale to go with our Percival. Going to be calling this out from the deck, of course, for that plus, but also just a decent attacker. It's going to bounce back to the hand after it's attacked as well, so it preserves our hand size for us to use it for like a PG or something like that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, 2 is fine. We're not really too focused on the ride skill of it, to be fair. It's nice as a backup, just in case, but you really want to hope to see the grade 2 Wonder Ezel or the Beaumains for the superior ride, but you're going to be playing some of these anyway, just to go with the Percival. So 2 copies of that. And then next we have the last grade 2, which is going to be the 1 copy of how do you pronounce this actually? Providential Angel? Yeah. So this card is insane with a card like Ultima, because this card essentially says your opponent can only guard with 1 Sentinel from their hand, like, for the rest of that turn, essentially. Like, they can only use 1 Sentinel from the hand, and that's it. So if you use this in combination with Ultima, they're more than likely going to die. So, yeah, I feel like it's worth playing the 1 copy of this. It just seems like such a good opportunity to play it with Ultima that you don't really want to pass this up, in my opinion. So 1 copy of that is always nice. So, going into the grade 1s, like I said, when it came to, like, trying to fit in that lion, I just found it hard to fit in, but everything in the grade 1 lineup is somewhat reasonable and, kind of needed in a way, but we'll go into it. So first, of course, we have the 4 old school Howell. So this Howell, which is from GBT7, I believe, from the G series. This one says when it's placed in rear, if you have a Vanguard with Ezel in the card name, you can countercharge and soul charge. Simple as that. Simple as that. But yeah, of course, the name is important for the Wonder Ezel, but dude, the resource generation with this is crazy good. And like I said, it combos pretty nice with the Lion if you would like to play that with it. But yeah, just playing the 4 of it to maximize on consistency for the superior ride. And yeah, I mean, the skill itself is already fantastic for resource generation as well. So there you go. So next we have an oldie but goodie, which is in everything. We have 3 copies of Dindrane. Now, I'm only playing 3 of this just because I needed to make room for other stuff. But Dindrane's always a solid card just for extra pluses. Soul Blast to draw a card is always nice, but also Countercharge is an option. You know, even though we get the Countercharge from the Howell, Dindrane can always be there as a backup, you know? Just for more CB, you know? Because like I said, this deck is very CB reliant, so having the extra Countercharges can be helpful at times. But more times than often, you'll probably end up using this for the draw, just to go through your deck and get some more advantage. So 3 copies of those. And then we have the 2 Gareth. Now, I did almost run this guy at 1, just so that I could try fit in Lion. But the problem was that I'm very afraid of this card getting either damage checked or I have to ride it. And it's like, man, if I had the extra copy of Gareth, I've got the Beaumains, I could just go into Ezel now and just, you know, prepare for striding next turn. So this is more just a safety net to have 2 of them. I just feel like it just feels better to know that you've got the spare one just in case. But yeah, Gareth. 10k for a CB is kind of relevant at times. I mean, if you need the extra power for an attacker, sure, but it's not something you're really going to be focusing on, right? So yeah, 2 Gareth is pretty nice for the deck. So our last card is actually a favorite of mine, and it's cool to see that this card is still, you know, usable in today's day and age. But yeah, we're playing 1 copy of Maleagant. Now, I actually played this card back in my old Ezel deck, which is actually still on the channel. It's actually one of the first videos that I made. I believe it is. I think it is. I'm not too sure actually, but I used to play this way back in the day, and yeah, it's as simple as you just Soul Blast 2 when it's placed to Countercharge 2. I mean, that's essentially what the long text there is. It's just turn 2 cards that are face down your damage zone face up. And there you go. So I like playing the 1 of this just because it is nice for when you do need that extra CB. And, you know, the Dindrane pretty much is relying on being called, right? So that's not always guaranteed. But the Howell's there as a guaranteed Countercharge and the Soul Charge. But with this, it's just that little bit better, right? But it's just not like, because it requires that 2 Soul Blast, you're not really going to be playing multiples of these. I mean, you could probably stretch it as 2 at most, but I'm more comfortable just playing the 1 of it, just for the extra Countercharge. But I much prefer having the Dindranes in the deck as well, just because they have the option to draw cards as well. So yeah, that's just my side on it anyway. But that's going to do it for the grade 1. So now we have the grade 0s. We have the 1 copy of Kyrph, since we need this for Blond Ezel's skill, of course. So yeah, going to be playing that. And yes, the old Kyrph is banned as a first starter at least. You can play it in the deck, but yeah, you're just going to play the V-Series Kyrph anyway for the Blond Ezel skill. So, for triggers, we have a pretty simple trigger lineup. We have 4 copies of the Stride Crit, which was from the 2020 collection, I believe. So, yeah. And then we have the 4 copies of the In Soul Crit. 10k to the Vanguard, draw a card. Yeah, we're just going with crits in this deck, since you could play a stand with Ultima, sure, but you kind of that's a little bit win more in my opinion, since you're going to be going like 3 crit on all of your field, and if your opponent's at 3, that's lethal, right? So you're going to be applying lethal to them with each attack, and if you line that up the Angel grade tier that I showed earlier, they can only guard with 1 Sentinel anyway, so it's like they're just going to die at that point, right? So yeah, you might as well just go with the crits, and you know, this is more soul power, and this provides us more consistency with striding when we need to. So yeah, so that is it for the crits. And then last but not least, of course, we have our draw PGs, since we need room in the grade 1s, of course. So we're going to be playing these, helps us get pieces and just PGs, of course. And also, the cool thing with this as well is that it works with our Slimy Flare, which can actually call this out from the deck potentially, and we can PG from the deck. It's not as reliant as like Royal Paladin with Merrin, but at least it's a line of play that you can go down just to have that extra protection, just in case you are in need of that PG. And then last but not least, we have our heal trigger from, the original set 3, the VBT-03 for Elixir Sommelier. And it's just there, it's a heal. You're going to be playing your heals, of course. And like I've stated many times, but Elixir Sommelier is just my favorite. You can play the new one that came from the Gurguit set, but Elixir Sommelier is just one of my favorite ones. So there you go. So we have the G Zone. So pretty much the main G unit you're going to be looking at is Spearex, or Spear Cross, whatever you want to say. But yeah, this is just super, super good. The amount of advantage you get from it just from a Soul Blast is insane. Look at top 5 in Cold 2. Pretty good. And also the superior riding element of this card is just fantastic with Ezel. It's just perfect. And yeah, you do need 2 CB for it, yeah, but it's there. It's there if the play is available, right? And also having the ability to go into Platina and then going into this for a superior stride during the main phase is just... it's just fantastic, right? It does require a lot of counterblasts because that's 1 for Platina and then 2 for this. So you do need 3 CB in order to do that. But when this is in play with your Platina skill online, boy, is that fun. It's really, really fun. So 3 copies of Spearex. It's just like the main stride you're going to be going into more times than often. But we do have options for other things. We have 2 copies of Mithril Ezel. So yeah, Mithril Ezel is really, really cool because apparently Link Joke is a thing again. So there might be an occasion where this card comes up. Now, it will depend on if you actually see it, but it will also depend on whether if it's viable or not. Since I do believe Chaos Breaker can retire your unit when they get unlocked, but there are situations where Chaos Breaker might actually run out of soul and they won't be able to retire, everything. So having this as an option just to unlock your stuff so that you're out of the control is just really, really helpful. And like I said, it's just an option. It's there if it's needed, but it might not always be needed. But that's fine because you can just use it for flip fodder in the matchups that you don't need it. Because you do obviously need to flip something up for Spearex anyway. So you might as well just use a card that's like, situational at best. So yeah, 2 copies of that. And also, can I just say that it's really cool to have this like in like a modern day like premium Ezel deck. I got this back when it came out, and it's insane that it's still usable, right? So yeah, I mean it always will be, I suppose. Now for some other options, we have 2 copies of the Gurguit G unit. This is pretty good just for punishing decks that play like grade 1 PGs, since it does restrict them at GB3 for that, so that's pretty nice. It also has Quad Drive as well, which is also pretty cool, so not too bad of a card. Definitely play 2 copies of that. And then we also have the 2 copies of Glorious Reigning Dragon. This is just for multi-attack. It does require a counterblast and a persona flip, so you have to like flip an extra copy of this face up in order to do so. But in the late game, when you've got loads of cards face up in the G zone, this could pretty much be a game ender more times than often. So pretty nice to have, some pretty nice options overall. And then speaking of multi-attack, we do have the 1 copy of Bombardment Dragon. Now, this does give multi-attack, and it also gains a critical as well, if you call 2 cards from the hand. So that could actually pressure lethal if your opponent's at like 4 damage, but I like this just because if you are after that multi-attack, but you don't have the resource for the Glorious Reigning Dragon, you can just attack with this and then do its skill for free, essentially. You just put 2 reguards to the bottom of the deck in any order, turn a card in your G zone face up, draw 2 cards, and then if you can call 2 cards from your hand to the rear, and if you call 2, it gets a crit. So you're getting the multi-attack, but it doesn't cost you a resource in terms of like Soul Blast or Counter Blast or anything like that, so it's a nice one-off, just in case you want to go into that. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, the last G unit is our Ultima. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be winning more times than often most of our games, so, I mean, play it if you have it, but yeah, this card is nutty. Oh, and one thing you could actually play, I actually forgot to mention this in the grade 1s, but you could actually play the GB8 in the deck with this grade 1 Bethok, because you can actually get an infinite loop out with this, because this card just won't rest when it boosts, and this basically gives this unit the ability to that whenever it boosts, you look at the top 2 and call 1. So you're essentially getting like an infinite loop of attacks. This came up during I think it was like a Worlds game. I can't remember when it was. I think it was last year or the year before. It was a while ago, but yeah, I decided not to go with it because it's like you only have the one copy of this anyway. And I mean, if it comes up, cool, but it is a GB8. You do have to kind of like build more towards it if you want to focus on that. But I decided just to not bother since, this would be taking up a grade one slot anyway. And I just feel like the GB8 just won't come up that much anyway. So I just wanted to run other generic stuff that was just all around good and just put this to the side essentially. So yeah, but that is another option you can play if you're interested in that. But last but not least, we have the G Guardians. It's pretty simple. We have the one copy of Racktome, just for filtering your hand, just in case. The one Elise, to call something to the field, since sometimes that actually could come up if you need it for your Slimy Flare. So we're playing 3 Slimy Flare. By far the best G Guardian that Golds have in Premium. And yeah, like I said earlier, the interaction that it has with Mark is just really, really nice at times. It can sometimes get you out of a pickle in case you're in an awkward situation. But yeah, that is it for the G Guards. It's pretty simple, pretty streamlined. I do hope they make like some more G Guardians in the future just to upgrade them a bit. But yeah, that's overall the deck. So like I said, guys, Premium, although I don't touch it that much, it is really cool that I can use like all of these old Ezel cards in one deck. And yeah, like I said, this is more of a celebratory video just to sort of celebrate the milestones that I mentioned earlier, but also just to like, reflect upon Ezel, since Ezel was like the first ever deck that I made in Vanguard overall. And it's really cool to be able to like showcase all of my Ezel stuff in one package, old and new. And yeah, I also have the obviously the sleeves to represent as well, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's going to do it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys are looking forward to Overdress the same as I am. And I have no idea how Overdress is going to change Premium. We'll have to see whether or not if I dip into it once Overdress comes out. That's even I don't know that, so we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. I think next we're looking into like clan selection stuff, so expect to see some deck profiles for that. But I do need to do a bit more testing with that stuff, since I think the first one is going to be Spectral Duke, which is actually a nice segue, after looking at Ezel for so long, that we're going to go, back and look at Spectral Duke as well, but with the new version of it from the V series, which is pretty cool. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, like always, I will catch you guys in the next video. So this is Guardian 205, signing out.